So I've seen a few times now on Twitter and other places that people are looking to use Rive components in Framer. And there's just a small problem with that sometimes. Let me show you. So when you import a Rive component from the Rive plugin, so just the default, if you go to plugins and then there's a Rive plugin. The problem with this is that with the text runs, you are not able to modify them. That's just because of how the nature of the runtime works, what would need to happen from a code perspective to make this work in the plugin, and a variety of other reasons. So the date today is March 15th, 2025. So this is subject to change because Rive's currently working with the data binding model. It's in early access right now, but this doesn't have anything to do with that, but this might be irrelevant when they make those changes. So if you're looking to figure out how to modify text run within Framer itself, then simply what you can do is you can follow along in this tutorial. You can remix this project. I'll post a link to it. And you can also fire me a message on Twitter if you're looking to get access to the Rive file itself to maybe help you a little bit to follow along. So I'll show you what this looks like. So I've just created a simple code component called Rive text run, and you can see here what the user will do is they'll upload their own Rive file, and then there's some things we need to modify in code. I'll show you how all that works. But essentially how this looks when it's finished is that I'm able to say, okay, I've got this top value. This is the top text run. I press enter, and you can see now it changes in Framer. And then I've got a nested value too. So this is if you're using nested artboards in Rive. So this is a nested artboard. And as you can see, that works as well. Again, the limitation with the Rive plugin version is that you cannot modify text runs at all. So I'm just gonna delete this. Okay, so how does this work? Let's start by looking at our Rive file. Again, if you need this Rive file, I'd rather not share this one to the community just because it's completely irrelevant unless you're looking for this specific tutorial. But you can message me, Craig M. Sartor, on Twitter if you need the Rive file, and I can send it to you. So what we've got here is a simple, very simple artboard. We've got what I've called player name artboard, and we've got two text runs. So we've got this player name text run, which has the actual run with name. So that's the value that we're looking for. And then with the nested text run, obviously that's not going to show in this main artboard. Very important, you must export names for this to work. So you just go up to the file here and then export options, export all names. You have to do this or this isn't going to work for you. Okay, so then we've got a nested artboard here, and you can see we've got nested text, and this text run is called nested name. Very important to remember those two. So we've got name and nested name. I've also posted in the code a link to the Rive documentation on how to figure out what the paths are to make this a little bit easier for you if you're having troubles. So again, we've got the name on the main artboard, player name artboard, and then on the nested artboard, the text run name is nested name. Okay. And as you can see, I'll just play the animation here. It's nothing special. This is just for testing. Okay. So how does this look in code? Again, they'll be in YouTube in the description. There's going to be a link to remix this, and I'll post the link to remix it on Twitter as well. So how does this work? Let's go and we'll edit the code, and we'll just go from top to bottom. So we're importing use Rive from Rive app React Canvas. And then the source of this will be the file path. So this is actually going to be, if we go back, So right now it's set to the text run as an example, but if I clear this, you can allow, clients or yourself, of course, to choose a new text run file. So it uploads it, it automatically uses that as the path, so it's all handled within Framer itself. You can turn autoplay on and off, and then I'll show you the rest of the stuff we got here. So I've tried to comment this the best I could. If you have questions, just message me on Twitter. It's really easy to do. So we've got the first part here. This is how you deal with your main artboard text runs. So we've got Rive set text run value and then name and then props value. So essentially what this is doing is it's selecting the name. So like I said, as you can remember, in Rive, in my main artboard, name is the exported name. This is very important because you're going to have to change this based on your Rive file. So that's why I said replace name with the actual exported layer name for your text run. So in these quotes, if you've named your text run 1, that's where you would do this. This is only for your main artboard set text run value. There's a different function for when you're setting this at a path. Okay, so I wrote some a description on how this works as well with some comments. So this will update automatically, and what happens is in Framer we're adding a property control for this value. So this second part here, props.value, it's adding a property control. A property control is these controls over here for your component. So the value property control is type string, the value. And you can change this to whatever you want. This is the top text run. So I've just indicated that. And then the second part is how this functions when your text run is at a path, which is a little bit different. It's a different function. So you can see here we've got nested name. So this is the exported text run name. So if we go back to Rive, we've got our nested artboard. It's not here though, right? Nested name in this nested artboard is what we're looking for. So set text run value at path. We've got our nested name, which is our text run name. We're using the props nested value. So this is essentially whatever you want the value of this text run to be. Same with this one, of course, but this is the same thing. So then the last part of this is the path at which this text run exists. Which artboard is it in? So I put some documentation in here for the Rive documentation on where to find this and how to do it, but essentially you're just looking for that path. So because mine is only one level deep, I've got nested artboard right on my main artboard. And you can see, of course, it's exported this name as well. Again, what that is just export options, export all names. So mine is called nested artboard. So that's what I'm using here as the path, nested artboard. Now, if this was multiple levels deep, so let's say I've got a nested artboard here, but I've got another, sorry, I did that in animate mode. I've got another nested artboard, okay, nested text run 2. Okay, so if I was using, and this is just an example, let's just add another nested artboard 2. Okay, and then in here, if I wanted to change nested text run 2's value, the path would be different because it's not part of the nested artboard path. It's actually one more deep, nested artboard 2. And let's change this so there's no spaces. I just like to keep that consistent. So what you would do then is your path would look a little different. If you were doing this, I'm not gonna save the component with this in there. So if you need to reference the tutorial, you can, but how this would look would be nested artboard / nested artboard 2. So now you'll be able to change, while on this artboard, nested text run 2. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to change that back, obviously. Save that. So yeah, so I believe that's it. Oh, actually, there's one more cool thing you can do with this. So you can actually use these with CMS collections. So to make things even easier, if you want to, of course. This is completely optional. Essentially, all you're doing is going insert collections. So I've already set one up, but we've got a collection here. I'll just add it to my stack. Okay, and then we're going to duplicate this component, throw it in our collection, and we'll just make it bigger. Collection bigger too. And apparently none of these are set to fill. Okay, so now we've got this same component, but it's in a collection. So now what's cool is we can use CMS collections. So if you really wanted to have a Rive component for your blog post titles, whatever, you can do that. So you just go set variable, and then you can update that to the CMS collection. And same with, nested values or whatever, however you want to set this up. And it just works out of the box. So hopefully this all makes sense. Again, I will share the Rive file with you if you need it. And if you have any questions, let me know on Twitter, Craig M. Sartor. Hopefully this helps some folks. And yeah, if you end up doing this, I would love to see some examples. So post them in YouTube or Twitter. All right, have a good one.